Bonjour et bienvenue en Bourgogne. Hello and welcome to Burgundy. My name is Ben Golden. I am the co-president and Burgundy buyer for a new and exciting boutique wine importing company called Golden Vines. Today I'm filming on this beautiful, sunny and snow-covered January day outside of my home in Meursault. We're not technically in the village of Meursault. The village of Meursault is right behind me. Actually, there's a funny story. I went tasting the other day in the village of Meursault, and I explained to somebody where I lived. And he said, "Oh, you live over there in the faubourg," which essentially means suburbs. In reality, I live only half a mile away. I hardly live in the suburbs, and Meursault is so small, it obviously doesn't have any suburbs, but that's really indicative of Burgundy. On one side of the road is a world apart from what's on the other side of the road. For example, the vines that we see here cannot be called the same way that the vines on the other side of the road, even though they're very, very close to each other. Wines that are made from the grapes that come from these vines are called Coteaux Bourguignon. Now, they just changed that recently. Before it was GBO, or Grand Bourgogne Ordinaire, and before that it was a generic or regional appellation of Bourgogne. On the other side of the road, you have your Meursault Village and your Premier Cru. Okay, I might have lost you somewhere with all the appellations. This is an introduction to Burgundy, the first of a series of introductory videos to Burgundy and the wines of Burgundy. So let's take a big step back. What is Burgundy? Burgundy is the name of a region. It's the name of a relatively large region, the 7th largest region in France, not a very populated region, only 1.6 million people. The biggest city in Burgundy is a town you might have heard of called Dijon. Let me just show you where Burgundy is located, right here in France. And the region of Burgundy is subdivided into 4 departments. So a region is like a state in America. That's how France is divided, and each region is subdivided into departments. So there are 4 departments within Burgundy. You have Yonne, Nièvre, Saône-et-Loire, and the majestic Côte d'Or. Nièvre is generally not so interesting from a winemaking perspective. It's mostly cow country. Yonne, which is north of here, about an hour and a half or so. There's Chablis, that's probably the most famous wine from that region. It's called Chablis. A little bit of red is made there. In the Saône-et-Loire, which is south of here, lots of wine is made there. There's Pouilly-Fuissé, and then the southern part is the beginnings of Beaujolais, you might have heard of. And then in the northern part, which is only 10 minutes south of us, is wine that's very similar to us. It's sort of similar to Burgundy in terms of quality. I think you can find a lot of value there in the Saône-et-Loire because you're not paying for the Côte d'Or real estate, if you will. Golden Vines has lots of good domains from the Saône-et-Loire in little villages of Mercurey and Givry and Rouy. The Côte d'Or is the most famous of all the departments and probably the most famous wine-producing region in the world. The Côte d'Or is further divided into 2 côtes. Côtes essentially means a slope or a hill. The northern part of the Côte d'Or is called the Côte de Nuit, and the southern part, where we are, is the Côte de Beaune. Generally speaking, the Côte de Beaune is more famous for the whites, like in our village of Meursault and in Pouilly-Manchet, Chassagne-Manchet, whereas in the northern part, it's generally speaking more famous for reds. Here, once again, this is simplified. Most of the reds are made from 100% Pinot Noir, and most of the whites are made 100% from the Chardonnay grape. In another video called Varietals of Burgundy, we'll learn that it gets a little bit more complicated than that. So, what have we learned so far? Burgundy is the name of a region. It's not the type of a grape or the name of a wine per se. It is the name of a region, and within that region there are 4 departments, and within those 4 departments the most famous is the Côte d'Or. The Côte d'Or is subdivided into 2 côtes, the Côte de Nuit in the north and the Côte de Beaune in the south. So a lot of times when people say, I want a nice Burgundy, they're generally talking about the Côte d'Or. If they were talking about a Chablis, they would say Chablis. Hope that this has been giving you a little bit of information, whet your appetite. If you have any more specific questions, don't hesitate to post on our Facebook page, Golden Vines. And I'm happy to respond to any questions that you have, and I hope that I will make many, many more videos and that you can come along on this great Burgundy adventure with me. Thank you for tuning in.